The union movement has a long and proud history. For hundreds of years, workers have recognised their power to go on strike and stop the flow of profits to their bosses. In Australia, there are countless examples of organised workers using their collective power to fight for better pay and conditions. In 1856, Melbourne building workers won the world's first 8-hour day. In the years since, unions have won the weekend, sick leave, penalty rates, and many other important reforms. The unions also have a radical history of fighting for social justice against the widespread oppression, indignity, and destruction that capitalism thrives on. One of the most inspiring events in this history is the Gurindji strike, which began in 1966. Conditions at the time for Aboriginal pastoral workers were slave-like. Lord Vestey, the mega-wealthy British owner of Wave Hill Cattle Station in the Northern Territory, paid his workers rations instead of wages. The workers decided to get organised, and in August 1966, they walked off the job. This was the start of what would become the longest strike in Australian history, lasting nearly 10 years. As it went on, workers from around the country responded with an outpouring of solidarity. The Actors Union organised a national speaking tour where Indigenous leaders spoke to workers about the strike. The Waterside Workers Federation donated $10,000 to the strike fund, while thousands marched in the cities in support. In London, employees of Lord Vestey held a solidarity strike. One London unionist captured the essence of the movement, saying, 12,000 miles, nothing. Different language, nothing. Different colour, nothing. They're hurting Vestey, let's give them a hand. This mass support helped empower the Gurindji strikers to reject attempts by Vestey to end the strike by offering them better wages. Their demands were much bigger than that. They wanted their land back. This strike kicked off the land rights movement, and in 1975, Gough Whitlam was finally forced to hand back some of the Gurindji land. Although the struggle for land is far from over, the Gurindji strike proved that working class solidarity has the power to bring the wealthiest, most powerful lords in the world to their knees. Unions have also been crucial in struggles against sexism and played an important role in winning legal pay equality. The first major strike for pay equality came in 1962. When a Melbourne gasworks attempted to replace 30% of its workforce with lower paid women, the workers held a mass meeting and agreed to support hiring women as long as it was at the same rate as men. When management refused, over 1,000 workers went on strike. The canteen shop steward said, "Up until now, most women were under the impression they had to fight a lone battle in industry. This strike definitely proved otherwise." This was the beginning of a wave of industrial action. In the following years, furniture workers and metal workers both won equal pay after strikes. Construction workers, textile workers, and office clerks were among the others to take up the fight. In 1974, legal pay equality was finally won for all industries. However, the gender pay gap remains at around 15%, and the fight continues. In 2012, workers in the predominantly female social and community sector won massive pay rises after 3 years of struggle. Unions today remain on the front line of battles against sexism, racism, and oppression in all its forms. Maybe the most radical union in Australian history was the Builders Labourers Federation. In the 1970s, they led the Green Band movement, an inspiring demonstration of workers' power. It started in Melbourne in 1970, where Kleenex wanted to build a massive industrial warehouse. Instead, workers stood by the local community, who wanted to use the land for public parkland, and went on strike. After a bitter struggle, the workers won, and the park was soon built. This was a historic moment. It was the workers, not the bosses, who decided what to build and who to build it for. It was this idea of workers' control that defined the Green Band movement. As Union Secretary Jack Mundy explained, yes, we want to build. However, we prefer to build urgently required schools, hospitals, and other public utilities, provided they are designed with adequate concern for the environment, than to build ugly, unimaginative, architecturally bankrupt glass offices and blocks of concrete. We are going to determine which buildings we build. The movement soon spread across the country, and over the following years it won a series of massive victories. Aboriginal housing was saved in Redfern, while bushland was saved on the Parramatta River. When Macquarie University expelled student activist Jeremy Fisher for being openly gay, workers on the site went on strike until he was reinstated. In 1971, when a construction company tried to fire militant unionists off a Sydney office block, the workers simply ignored their boss and elected their own manager. Similarly, an industrial dispute on the Sydney Opera House led to workers seizing the site and completing the job under workers' control. The Green Band movement offers a glimpse of what workers' power looks like. The working class movement, when it is organised and willing to fight, has immense power. As the brutal capitalist system plunges the world into yet another devastating crisis, it is more important than ever to fight for the alternative. The alternative is socialism, a democratic world run by workers for workers.